I try to talk something about the new material for chest wall reconstruction. Some is reality, and some is desire of for the future. But
have we got the slides for?
it's downloading.
Where's it gone?
No, sure. Okay.
It's not there.
Okay. Okay, thank you. This is my disclosure. In my opinion, I begin for saying that, in my opinion, 3D printed is the most promising material for chest wall reconstruction, because there are many groups working on that. The group of Antonio Atala, they are printing biological tissue with functional capacity, but they mainly print layer with polymers as reticular structure, and then they print cell-laden composite hydrogels, and then what they call sacrificial material. When the structure is completed, they wash out the sacrificial material to produce these microchannels in order to allow the flow of the nutrients and oxygen to the printed cells. Using this technique, they are able to print ears or mature bone. Or like this group from North Carolina, they are able to print muscle and to connect to nerve and to prove the functionality. But probably we have to wait for a few years. We have to look for a quasi-perfect material. As you know, the ideal alloplastic material has to be resistant to infection, physically, chemically inert, hypoallergenic, of course non-carcinogenic, easy incorporated by the body, durable, compatible with the X-ray. It is really important for the follow-up, sterile, easy to use, and of course cheap and available. And some of the material don't meet this criteria. We have two types of material. We have a Valyrian steel, we have rigid and non-rigid material. Non-rigid are mainly mesh, synthetics, or biological. We all have experience using, the previous speaker, methyl methacrylate or Prolene, Marlex, or PTF. Probably we have less experience using biological meshes like derived from cadaveric dermis like alloderm, or from the different product of porcine or bovine like permacol or surgimend. Some of them are cross-linked in order to increase the strength. Some characteristics of the synthetic mesh are at the same time disadvantaged. For instance, the incomplete incorporation to the surrounding tissue or the susceptibility to infection. As you know, when it's occurred, we have to remove the prosthesis. At the beginning it's easy, but sometimes in late infection it's quite difficult. The characteristic of biological mesh include the promotion of healing at different phases of healing, like inflammation phase, proliferation, and maturation, by cellular infiltration and new vessel, and also promoting the extracellular matrix exchange. But also biological mesh act like biological scaffold, following the principle of regenerative medicine, being some substrate for platelet activation or attracting the mesenchymal stem cell or increasing the level of fibroblast. But if we look for hard material for rigid reconstruction, we have the promising osteoinductive material like polymers, metals, but also ceramics from natural or synthetics, biocomposites. We all know titanium. Titanium is a metal, is completely inert and immune to many fluids that could cause corrosion of the implant, but offer more than this because it has a low electronic conductivity, is predictable with a low ion formation, high strength and resistant to fracture, and high tensile strength ratio. Another osteoinductive material like are bioceramics, like silicates. Silicates we can manufacture with different shapes, with different structures and porosity. And we can put inside some carriers with antibiotics or growth factor or even anti-neoplastic agents. But also we can add some nanoparticles that we can stimulate by ultrasound in order to attack the tumor cells. Another bioceramics are hydroxyapatite, is a material with similar structure to some minerals in the human bone. But I have to talk about the acrylic resins. Acrylic resins are very interesting. There are some investigations from MIT engineers specialized in biomaterials, and they conducted an analysis of different natural materials like bone or nacre, and they found that some of these natural structures are performed by a small piece like bricks, but they are able to construct bone like this clavicle, but the main thing is they are able to simulate using different kind of resins and different dispositions, and they can calculate the strength of the material. But when they print this material, they found that the strength of the printed material is higher than expected. When we look for an ideal bone substitute, this has to have an osteoinductive three-dimensional structure, contain osteogenic cell, but also growth factors, with enough mechanical property to sustain the structure until the final integrations, and of course promoting the vascularizations. But when we try to design new bone tissue, we have to take into account the different level of the structure, from macrostructure to submicro or subnano structure, because we can design at each level. This is important because we can improve also the microscopic function at the level of the union of the material with the surrounding tissue, and it's what we call the interface. Of course, chemical composition is relevant, but porosity and geometry are crucial, and you can see next. In this investigation, the osteoinductive potential of the calcium phosphates is clearly linked to the porosity of the surface of the material. This author conducted this study comparing 4 different calcium phosphates with similar composition, but with different crystal size at the surface level. As you can see here, the submicroscopic crystal is relevant because the both components with submicro crystal they triggered early the bone formation, but also they delay the reabsorption of the calcium phosphate and improving the bone remodeling. But the other things is important is geometry. If we put something like this small piece of titanium somewhere in the body, the concavities, these concavities, biomimetize the remodeling cycle of bone, inducing bone formation in these concavities in relation if there is some microcapillaries, there is spontaneous bone formations. And this is because, as you know, the capacity of the mesenchymal stem cell to differentiate. As you know, the definition of mesenchymal stem cell is the capacity to addition to the plastic, some antigen characteristic, but also the ability to differentiate in adipocytes, chondrocytes, and osteocytes. Okay, we have a lot of research in tissue engineering, but we don't have available tissue engineering in the market. Probably the reason is what this gap is what they call the belly of death. And this is because there are few clinical trials, and this is because they're difficult to attract funding to perform this trial. I completely agree with Sanchez and Yamanaka. They say that rules are meant to be broken, especially in biology. That's why in our group we are working very close to these three guys. They are engineers working on design a new material for chest wall reconstruction. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much.